I swear, I felt my heart crack that night. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet snap, like a branch breaking under the weight of snow. It started with a laugh. Not just any laugh, her laugh. The one I used to fall asleep to when we were still in love. But that night, it wasn't for me. It drifted across the table, soft and easy, where my wife, Iris Vale, leaned closer to another man. Her hand brushed his arm like it belonged there. We were at her company's annual dinner. She'd asked me to come, though deep down, I think she hadn't really wanted me there. The place was filled with glittering glasses, fake smiles, and people trying too hard to sound important. Her boss, Julian Cross, was the star of the night, celebrating another $1 million deal. The man had a kind of charm that filled every corner of the room. I was just the guy fixing air conditioners for a living, sitting in a world that wasn't built for me. "Relax, Noah," Iris whispered, her lips barely moving, her public smile perfectly polished. "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else." "I probably would," I muttered under my breath. "You've been talking to that guy for half an hour. You barely looked at me." She rolled her eyes. That same eye roll that used to make me laugh, but now only burned. "Not this again. He's my coworker. Can I talk to people without you turning into the jealous husband cliché?" "I'm not jealous," I said quietly, but before I could finish, she cut me off, still smiling for the crowd. "Then stop glaring like you're about to start a fight." Her lipstick was flawless, her dress elegant, her perfume intoxicating. Everything about her screamed control. I used to love seeing her like that, but that night, all I saw was someone who'd outgrown me, someone who seemed happier leaning toward another man than sitting beside her husband. Then I saw Julian lean closer, whisper something in her ear, and she laughed again. The same laugh that once healed me now hollowed me out. My hand tightened around the wine glass until my knuckles went white. That's when she turned to me, eyes cold but smile still sweet. "If you're that jealous, Noah," she said softly, her voice smooth but sharp enough to cut through me, "then go home." For a second I didn't move. Maybe I thought she'd take it back. Maybe I hoped she'd reach for my hand the way she used to. But she didn't. Her eyes just stayed on me, like daring me to prove I was as small as she thought. So I did what she asked. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and left. No words, no scene, just silence. The kind of silence that echoes louder than shouting ever could. The drive home was long, the city lights blurring past like ghosts. I kept replaying her words in my head. "Go home if you're jealous." It sounded less like advice and more like dismissal. When we first married, Iris used to cling to my arm at parties, proud to introduce me. "This is my husband Noah. He can fix anything," she'd say with that smile that made me feel like her world. But somewhere between promotions and high-rise meetings, I stopped being her pride. I just became background noise in her polished life. When I reached home, I sat in the driveway longer than I should have, staring at the empty passenger seat that used to hold her laughter. My phone buzzed twice. Not her, not even close. She didn't text. Didn't check if I made it back. I told myself it was just a bad night, that she was tired, distracted. But deep down, something already knew. This wasn't just one bad night. This was the beginning of the end. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to fight for someone who no longer looked back when I walked away. When I walked into the house that night, the air felt different. Still, cold, like the walls themselves knew something had cracked. I dropped my coat on the chair and sat in the dark for a long time, listening to the hum of the fridge and the ticking of the old wall clock. My mind was noisy, but the room was painfully quiet. I waited. Maybe for her. Maybe for an apology I already knew wouldn't come. By 2 a.m., the silence broke, not with a voice, but the faint sound of a car pulling into the driveway. I didn't move. The door opened, and her heels clicked across the floor. Then came a soft sigh, followed by the sharp scent of men's cologne, not mine. Not anything I'd ever worn. She hesitated in the doorway, maybe looking at me in the dark. Then whispered something under her breath and tiptoed toward the bathroom. The shower turned on a few seconds later. That's when I saw it, the faint smear of lipstick on her collar. Darker than the shade she'd worn to dinner. For a long moment, I just stared at it, I didn't yell, didn't accuse. I just sat there numb, trying to understand when love had turned into humiliation. I wanted to storm in, ask her why. Was I not enough? But what was the point? Sometimes silence speaks louder than confrontation. So I waited for the morning to do the talking. At dawn, I brewed coffee, the smell filling the empty kitchen. Then I started packing. Not much, just the essentials. A few clothes, my tools, and a handful of memories that still meant something. I left my wedding ring beside her favorite mug, the one that said Mrs. Keene. Somehow, that felt like the cruelest irony of all. When she finally stirred awake, I was already gone. By 8:30, my phone started ringing. Her name flashed on the screen, Iris Vale. I didn't answer. It rang again, and again. Then came the texts. Noah, where are you? Noah, we need to talk. Noah, this isn't funny. Each one felt more desperate than the last. By noon, I finally picked up. Noah, where the hell are you? Her voice trembled between anger and panic. At peace, I said quietly. What does that even mean? She demanded. It means you told me to go home if I was jealous, I replied. I did, and now I'm staying gone, she scoffed. You're being dramatic. You embarrassed me last night, walking out like that. People asked where you went. Maybe you should have told them, I said calmly. That I went home, just like you told me to. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument. Then her voice softened, a tactic I knew too well. You're overreacting. I didn't do anything wrong, I laughed bitterly. You came home at nearly 4 a.m, smelling like another man's cologne. You think I'm blind? That's not what it looks like, she said quickly. Julian was drunk. He spilled his drink on me, that's all. I took a shower when I got home, didn't I? Her voice came too fast, too rehearsed. Right, I said. Just like how you forgot to call when you got there. Or how you didn't notice me leaving. You're twisting everything, Noah, she snapped. You always make me feel like the villain when I'm just trying to live my life. I stayed quiet for a long second, then said softly, Then go live it, Iris. Just don't expect me to keep pretending our marriage isn't falling apart. There was a pause. I could hear her breathing, shaky and uneven. Then she asked, Where are you going to go? Does it matter? I said. You didn't care where I was last night. And before she could answer, I hung up. That drive felt endless, the kind where every road looks the same, and every mile feels like a piece of your old life falling away. 2 hours later, I reached my brother's cabin, an old wooden place surrounded by trees and silence. No signal, no noise, no one to lie to. That night, I sat on the porch staring at the stars, wondering when laughter had turned into lies. I wasn't angry anymore, just tired. Tired of being the only one still trying to fix something she'd already stopped holding on to. The phone vibrated once, a new voicemail. Her name again. I didn't listen right away. I wasn't sure if I wanted to, because sometimes the truth hurts less than hearing another apology you can't believe anymore. The next morning, I finally listened to the voicemail. Her voice was softer now, broken around the edges. Noah, please call me. I didn't mean what I said last night. I was drunk and stupid. I shouldn't have told you to go home. I don't even know why I flirted with him. It didn't mean anything. But when you left, it felt like I lost everything. Please, come back. We can fix this. Her voice cracked at the end. For a moment, I almost gave in. Because that's what love does. It makes you remember the best parts and forget the bruises. For a few seconds, I almost reached for my keys, ready to drive back, to pretend none of it had happened. But then, like a slow echo, her words from that night replayed in my head. If you're that jealous, then go home. And the look in her eyes, not guilt, not fear, just indifference. That was the real truth. It wasn't one fight. It wasn't one mistake. It was years of quiet neglect, small choices that chipped away at what we once were. You can't rebuild love when the foundation's already gone. I took a deep breath and wrote one last message. You told me to go home if I was jealous. I did. Turns out home isn't where you are anymore. Then I turned off my phone. The following weeks were heavy but calm. The kind of silence that doesn't suffocate. It heals. I fixed small things around the cabin, a broken chair, a leaky pipe, a loose window latch. The irony wasn't lost on me. I could repair everything except the one thing that mattered most. Some nights, I'd sit outside with a cup of coffee, thinking about her laugh. It used to fill the room like sunlight. Now, it was just a ghost sound that visited when the world went quiet. People say heartbreak fades, but I think it just becomes familiar, like an old scar you stop noticing. It's there, but it doesn't sting the same way. I heard from a mutual friend a few weeks later. Iris had quit her job. Word was the thing with Julian hadn't stayed quiet for long. Apparently the office whispers got too loud, and she couldn't face them anymore. Karma, maybe. Or just consequences. I didn't feel joy hearing it. Just nothing. Because when love dies, revenge doesn't taste sweet. It just tastes empty. One evening, as the sun dipped low, I found the old wedding photo in my bag. We looked young, laughing, arms tangled, eyes full of forever. I sat there for a while staring at those two people who had no idea how fragile forever really was. Then I smiled. A small, quiet kind of smile. Not out of bitterness, but release. Because maybe the truth wasn't that I lost her. Maybe I just found myself again. I don't know if Iris ever realized it. That by pushing me away, she gave me the one thing she never could while we were together. Peace and peace. Once you finally have it, is something you don't trade. Not even for love. That night, I stood on the porch again, the air cool and still. Above me, the stars blinked like scattered promises. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small beneath them. I felt whole. When I closed my eyes, her voice wasn't there anymore. Just the sound of wind moving through the trees. Quiet and endless. Maybe someday, she'll find someone who loves her in the way she needs. Maybe I'll find someone who laughs like she used to. But this time, the laugh will be for me. Until then, I'll keep fixing what I can, broken pipes, cracked walls, and the small corners of my own heart that still remember her. Because sometimes walking away isn't weakness. It's the bravest thing you can do for the man you used to be. And in that choice, I found something priceless. Not forgiveness, not closure. Just freedom. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who once meant everything to you. More stories of love, loss, and quiet strength, every day right here.